The Vincent Financial Group is proud to present Retire ATL.
The closer you get to retirement, losing money hurts more than making money helps.
Get more at retireatlradio.com.
And we are here with CFP and investment advisor Aaron Vincent alongside CFP Matthew Decker, helping you retire on your terms, always addressing the three main pillars in retirement: tax planning, risk management, and determining your income strategy. My name is Mark Owens. Gentlemen, I need your help to define something. Watching TV, you see all the big box commercials, financial firms, and they all say, I want to be your retirement planner. Call me to be your investment manager. Let me be your income advisor. What do they all mean? I mean, is it all lumped up under the same umbrella? Is everybody specifically a little bit different? So I guess my question is, what does that mean? And more importantly, who are you?
Man, you're hitting the nail on the head.
What does it all mean?
This is something that we've actually been talking about a lot internally because we see the same things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see financial advisor too as kind of like a catch-all term. You know, that could mean anything. Financial planner, that could mean anything. There's only a few terms that actually mean something in terms of having to have like a requirement. So if you hear investment advisor, like in the show intro, investment advisor, like that means something. That's a license that you may have.
Yep.
Certified financial planner, that's a license you may have. But yeah, this has been something, Aaron, we've been fighting against just because people think based on, like those are all marketing terms.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is.
Okay.
Those are all marketing terms. So people might think, oh yeah, the person that I'm working with is, you know, and then fill in the blank, marketing term, retirement investment specialist extraordinaire. He's the best.
The fourth.
But what does that mean? What does that mean?
Right. It's trying to find a way to say the same thing a different way to sound different in a world where, gosh, I joke all the time when people come to our office. I'm like, now you drove past no less than a dozen, depending on how long you drove, a dozen other financial advisors, to use a very broad term, to get to our office. Now, let me tell you why that's worth it. Let me tell you what, you're here now. I'm glad you're here. Let's discuss why I'm glad you drove by all those other dozen and why I hope that you're going to be glad too. Because to your point, Matt, there are certain things that have to be considered. The name is not that important. Sometimes I like to joke with my name. You know, going to a party, or not my name, my title. I don't like to introduce myself as, hey, I'm Aaron, I'm a financial advisor. It's a pretty surefire way to get that person to turn around and walk away.
See you.
Weird thing is he does it at funerals. I know, that's really weird. The mood's already weird enough.
Right.
So he just
So I naturally almost try to avoid that term just because it's almost like, you know, the butt of a lot of jokes. You know, I'll go see my dentist and my financial advisor. You know, it's the worst day of your life doing those two meetings. But anyway, the point is, we have to get good about asking questions of what does that mean. That's the point of the idea.
Most people, you know, most independent, well, I shouldn't say most, every independent financial advisor out there is a business owner. And if you want to have a successful business, you know, it doesn't matter if you're a restaurant, it doesn't matter if you're a dentist or an attorney or a financial planner. You got to be able to answer the question for yourself, like what makes us different?
Right.
What is it that makes us different? Why should you work with us? And I think, unfortunately, in the financial services industry, what we've seen is a lot of people don't want to actually do the work that it takes to differentiate themselves. And so what they do is they come up with a marketing term.
A fancy slogan.
Well, what makes me different is I'm not just a financial advisor. I'm a retirement income specialist.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what makes you different. Okay, great. Now I know. That's all great, but the proof is in the pudding. So we created a 20-question assessment, I guess is what you would call it. And if you want to take this assessment, you can. You can actually text our number. Just text GUIDE, G-U-I-D-E, GUIDE, to 770-741-0120, 770-741-0120, GUIDE. Because what we've found is, you know, everybody likes to say, this is the biggest risk to your retirement, or this is the most important thing you got to get right, or these are the 3 things that you got to do. And that's all clickbaity stuff, and there might be some good information in there. But what we've seen is, my goodness, the most important thing you can do is have the right guide for retirement. And so we've created this 20-question assessment where it asks you point blank some pretty tough questions. I think there's 5 sections. You know, there's a section on retirement income, risk, taxes, estate and long-term care planning, and then like tough ancillary questions. And there's, you know, 4 to 5 questions in each section. And it's pretty pointed. And you go through that quiz and it's going to score you and grade you. And it's going to be like, hey, you either have a good guide or you don't. Because a good guide, someone who's really with you, is not, they don't have a fancy term. Mm-hmm. It's not it's not retirement income specialist. It's not financial advisor. Shoot, it's not even necessarily certified financial planner, which that actually means something. And Aaron and I are both certified financial planners. That means something. That means we have an education requirement. We had to pass a nasty long test. We do a little spoof. Maybe that's a segment we should bring to the radio show. We do on our podcast. We do a what is it called?
How many times did it take Aaron to pass the test?
No, no. We do a segment where we like go on ChatGPT and we say, "Hey, give us a CFP test question," and then we try to answer it live. Yeah. And the questions are just so stupid, and they're so hard. And sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong. But it's just a funny, spoofy segment.
Real quick, where can we find the podcast? It's on the homepage. We can find it at retireatlradio.com.
That's where you'd go.
Perfect. Retireatlradio.com to see the podcast from the team at the Vincent Financial Group. Okay, 770-741-0120, talking about this guide, a 20-question assessment. Before we get into that, I do want to back up just a little bit because I want to get more into this guide that you've created. Who are you? Like you just said that you're CFP. So if I came in, the first question I need to ask you, Aaron Vincent, you, Matt Decker, who are you? What are your designations? Because we were just kind of laughing about we make up these terms and make ourselves sound specials. So break it down for me. Who are you?
Yeah. So basically, you would know who we are if you looked at our email signatures. What does it say? But I think the point of this conversation is let's boil it down to what does it actually mean. And so we like to think of ourselves in terms of retirement guides. We have an analogy that we use about this mountain, right? So while you are earning and working and saving and growing your investment portfolio, you're walking up the mountain. That's your journey. Then you get to the point you reach the peak. So you've done all of your earning, all of your saving, all of your investing to that point, and you decide to retire. Well, now it's time to come down the mountain, right? So you're coming down. Well,
and which journey is more treacherous?
Going up?
No. More people actually die coming down mountains than they do going up mountains.
Isn't that amazing? I would think the same way you did, Mark.
Really? Going up, you're working so hard to get to the peak.
Going up may be harder.
There.
Your heart rate may be up higher on the way up.
Yeah.
But the cost of a slight mistake or whatever with gravity involved is that much greater on the way down. Huh. But I don't want to belabor that analogy too much. The point of it is...
That's not a question in the guide, by the way.
It's not a question in the guide. No.
The point of that whole topic is just simply this, that you've got to have someone to help you make decisions. That's what it boils down to.
We're your retirement Sherpa.
There's another one. There's another late 19th group.
What does that even mean?
Retirement Sherpa.
Group.
Investment professional
Sherpas.
planner Sherpa.
Sherpas.
Yes. No, but a person, a professional to help you make decisions. Decisions could be anything from how much risk should I take or not take to detailed decisions about income and taxes and things like that. The point is these titles that get thrown around, investment advisor. Okay, as Matt mentioned, that's an actual a term with regulation around it. You can't use that term without having passed certain exams and getting certain licenses, et cetera. So we are that. CFP, or Certified Financial Planner. We went through a huge amount of work and education and actually length of years in the industry requirement just to get that. So we are that as well. But then it goes down to what do we do every day? And that's when it becomes more of we're a guide. Because as a retiree or someone who's thinking about retiring soon, maybe the most significant thing for you to think about is what decisions do you have to make coming up soon? Mm-hmm. That's more important than what return am I getting this year. I think it's human nature. When a topic becomes really complicated, complex, maybe there's some pressure thrown in and you feel maybe some intimidation. I think it's our nature to boil it down to the least common denominator. And so that's where comes these theories of, well, if I'm going to withdraw 5% of my portfolio each year,
all I got to do is make 5.5.
All I got to do is make 5 or 6 and I win. Well, unfortunately, that logic, although it is very logical, has been proven to fail so many times. The ratio of that logic working out for you is not that high over a 20 or 30 or 40 year long retirement.
You wouldn't submit to that procedure.
No, you would not. If that was a medical procedure or if that was a guarantee of your flight landing, you would not get on the plane if that was the case. And so then becomes all the different decisions that must be made that accompany that whole idea of do I have enough money or not? And that's where a guide is important. Now, you can call yourself a financial advisor, a wealth manager, all the different things that you could call yourself, even aside from the ones that require some licensing. And they may mean those things, or those titles might just be fluff to make that person seem like a qualified guide when they may or may not be. And that's what makes this topic so important.
This is exactly why we created the assessment, right? Because the 5 sections that we broke it down into and the questions that we ask in our minds. So I'm the one who wrote all the questions, and I was sitting there and I was thinking about this mountain. we talked about the guide, you're climbing the mountain, and I'm thinking, okay, if I'm climbing Everest and I got to hire a Sherpa, I want them to have climbed the mountain before. Like, I don't want this to be their first time, right? I want them to look sure-footed. Do they seem to have all the boxes checked? And so I'm thinking like, okay, what are the things that really matter when it comes to retirement planning? Not just managing money, not just selling insurance, not just when's the right time to file for Social Security, but like the whole picture. What are all the little decisions that need to be made along the way leading up to, in, and through retirement? And then how can we phrase questions in a way that's going to let people know, oh, either I have a guide that is helping me in this area or I don't. So that's why we created the assessment, because it shows you what you should be getting from the person who's guiding you in and through retirement. And I think once you do text guide to 770-741-0120 and spend the 7 to 10 minutes it'll take to go through that quiz, you'll have a really good understanding whether or not you have a guide that actually specializes in retirement, or if you have like someone who's using a marketing term to make themselves sound different, but the work that they're actually doing maybe isn't what you're actually needing.
I like the term guide simply because if I wasn't doing this, I would be a fly fishing guide in Montana.
Oh,
so guide for me means something different.
I would be a Sherpa on a mountain.
How long before there's a new show on this station right now? Frank Jones, your retirement Sherpa. Somebody's listening right now about to steal our idea.
Yeah.
When we fill out this guide or we take advantage of this, is this something that it's like before the first appointment, or is this just for our own internal knowledge as we get started putting a retirement plan together?
Yeah, it's more so for you to figure out, wait, so if you've got a relationship with one of these things, wealth manager, financial planner, investment advisor, whatever, what actually do I have is a question that you probably should be thinking. If you're listening to this conversation and you're using someone in this level of service, hopefully you're kind of thinking, well, wait, what is my guy or what is my lady?
Mm-hmm.
What would they call themselves? And so that's hard to figure out. As we just have been discussing, there's so many layers and so many implications and assumptions. And this is for anyone who wants to know, what's my relationship? Are they actually a financial planner or a retirement planner, or are they more of an insurance salesperson, or are they more of just an investment manager? Like, what do I have?
Yeah.
That's for anyone thinking that this is the quiz for you.
At the same time, if you're somebody who's looking to hire a retirement specialist, a retirement income planner, one of the fancy terms,
The big box that
you
Mark
can
mentioned.
you can rip our assessment. You can just take it and you can say, hey, those are some good questions to ask somebody, interview style. Ask them the questions that we've got here. The answers you'll get back will be pretty enlightening.
telling,
but I'll also say there's no strings attached.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to text guide to 770-741-0120, and then we're going to ask you for your email and
Right.
you're this and you're that. No. It's going to send you right to the guide, to the assessment. You take the assessment. It throws out a report. You don't have to log in to get the report. You don't have to give us your email to get the report. You don't have to book a meeting to get the report.
After
It's just
every
like
5
you're going to get it.
questions, it needs your first name.
Yeah.
The next 5, your last name. By the end of it, you've given all your personal information with these.
We are just doing this because we want to shine some light on the things that you should be getting if you are working with a professional.
Yep.
Again, that number is 770-741-0120. You can text the word guide to that number, and it'll shoot you back a link to answer these questions, a 20-question assessment. Who is your guide? From the team of the Vincent Financial Group. Again, that number, 770-741-0120. And by the way, that's the number to call in at any time this weekend, anytime next week. If you have a question for Aaron, Matt, the team at the Vincent Financial Group, if you want to sit down and have a long-form conversation about your retirement strategy. Okay, looking at this 20-question assessment, I want to pick one out and just throw it out at you.
Yeah.
And just kind of understand your reasoning behind asking this question. We'll start at retirement income. One of the questions is, does your advisor help you decide which accounts to use first in retirement?
Oh, that's a good one.
Why is that one so important?
It's a great question, Matt. I'm glad you wrote this question.
You're welcome.
So most people have multiple accounts. So if you've done most of your retirement savings, you probably have a 401k or an IRA, maybe multiples. You probably have a Roth of some kind. And you may or may not have like what we'll call a brokerage account. It's just an investment account that's not IRA category. So,
And if you're married, you might have double.
correct, yeah.
Both spouses.
You may have 5 or 6 or 7 different accounts if you're married. And that's not even including Social Security or if you got a pension. Like that's just the investment accounts. Well, there is a best way to draw down those accounts.
Are you sure you can say best? I mean,
Yes.
this is a compliant approved show.
Yes, because I can back it up with mathematics.
Oh, you can?
I can.
Okay.
Yes.
So for the attorneys listening,
Yes.
you're saying
They're-
I'm challenging you to challenge me on
Yeah,
this.
I challenge you to challenge me. I love that.
Okay.
Brandon,
So-
our producer, just went, "Oh, guys, you're making more work for
Yeah,
me
that's
right now." If
So,
you're compliant on the email
Depending
right now.
on, obviously it varies, because if you have those 3 or 4 accounts, chances are they're all not equal in value. They're different. So there is a best way to draw those accounts down in a particular order. So this much per month when you're retired, getting income from your portfolio, this much of your monthly income should come from your IRA. This much should come from your Roth IRA. This much should come from other savings. And also, we're going to put together a plan to do some conversions from IRA to Roth IRA. Now I'm getting a little more complicated, but the point of it is if you're already retired or you're considering retiring, I would venture to say that most people listening, because we see this in our office every week, when we ask this question of people that come to our office.
Oh, I've got a plan. Oh,
Yeah,
great.
I've got a plan.
Show
I know
it to
what my
us.
income is going to be. Perfect. Okay, so of these 4 accounts or 5 accounts that you've got, tell me which ratio you're going to draw down and what's the rationale behind it. And that's when it's like, oh,
Well, I'm just going to withdraw 4%.
Yeah.
4% from what?
So you don't have an income plan, and you definitely don't have a tax plan. And oh, by the way, as we say often, what's going to be your largest expense in retirement? It's not travel. It's not grandkids. It's probably not healthcare. It's going to be taxes. And so if you don't know the answer to this question, Mark, the one you asked, does your advisor help you decide which accounts to use first in retirement?
Yeah.
If you don't know that, you can't have a tax plan. You can't have an income plan. So
Right.
that's where it's those kind of questions that help us determine what kind of a quote unquote professional or advisor that you currently have, or to your point, Matt, what kind of questions should I be asking if I'm a listener to the show as I'm interviewing advisors looking to hire one? These are the questions to ask.
I'll do just a little bit of cleanup work on the word best, just because I can feel Brandon's anxiety behind the glass.
Can you see him staring at you right
I,
now?
I can just feel it. He's
Dude,
like, guys, what are you doing?
I
Like-
challenge you to challenge me.
So when Aaron says,
don't look behind the glass.
so when
It's-
Aaron says there's a right amount to withdraw from each account, that's not going to be the same for every person. And the best just means it depends on how you're trying to optimize it. You might say, well, I want to be able to spend the most money. Okay, well, then there's a certain ratio that you need to be taking from each account in order to make that happen. You might say,
there's a best for that.
yeah, there's a best for that. You might say, I want to pay as little in tax as humanly possible. Okay, well, there's a best order of operations in order to accomplish that goal. So it's not going to be the same for every single person. And that's why you do have to kind of have a conversation about this. It's
Yeah.
not just, well, I'm just going to withdraw 4% and that's the best way for me to do it. It's like, well, no, that's not how it works.
And you, for example, may not have any Roth dollars at all.
right.
So there's a best for you as well. Like, so yeah, to your point, Matt, there are complexities. Everyone's certainly different. This is where we usually have to read that disclaimer that takes 7 minutes just to read through it. We're not going to do that. But to your point, depending on your goals, depending on your situation, depending on all those things, there is a best way to do it.
A best order to withdraw money from your accounts in order to solve whatever problem you're trying to solve. And most people out there using fancy marketing terms that all change, every couple years. I'll just speak from experience. I don't think we've seen a single person come into the office saying like, not only do I have a retirement income plan, but I know the order in which I'm going to withdraw from my accounts on a monthly basis. No one has said that
I've
to us,
never heard
not
that
one
before.
time.
there is a difference between wealth and income, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Because as we were talking about the designations that people give themselves, some people want to be an income planner, some people want to be a wealth manager. Can you quickly define the difference between those two? Because somebody's working with somebody, they want to take advantage of this guy, they're thinking about coming to you guys for that second opinion. They say, well, I've been working with a wealth manager forever. Well, my guy says he's an income planner, and you're already talking about income. I feel good about that. Quickly, what's the difference?
Well, I guess it depends on who you're talking to, but if you're asking me what I've seen the difference be, a wealth manager feels like it's going to be someone at a big box firm. You know, they're a, I don't want to say names. They're working at a bank, let's say.
Okay.
We'll keep it
The
nondescript.
financial advisor, quote unquote, in a bank.
Yeah, like the financial advisor in a bank is like your wealth manager. And a wealth manager, you know, when you call them and say, hey, I need $50,000, they're going to be like, all right, great. I'll sell some stuff for you.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to ask the second and third layer deeper question of like, what do you need it for? Are you worried about taxes? You know, what's your plan? You know, because an income planner, you call and you want $50,000. It's like, okay, well, we have an income plan. So
Yeah.
is this part of the income plan? or is this like you're spending extra dollars? Not that it matters.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here to serve you, but if you're hiring me to make sure that we optimize your money for as little tax as possible, that it stays in the right kind of risk category. Like I need to know a little bit more than just, I need $50,000.
Yeah.
That's helpful. And I think this is a good question. I also would say it this way. Don't pay any attention to what they call themselves because it doesn't matter. Mark, I think if you wanted to, you could start a website right now and you could call yourself a wealth manager.
I think you could.
Today. Without passing any exams or having any,
You could probably sell like a course.
Yeah.
You know, pay me $59.99 per month and I'll coach you on building and managing your wealth. Probably.
So there's no, aside from, a few things we mentioned earlier, like if there are things like CFP designations or the very specific investment advisor representative, like there are certain ones, but I don't know, just to throw out a number, 2 out of 10 of the titles that you see out there on business cards and on emails and on websites are actually have regulations behind them. The other 8 of 10 in my example are anyone can use them. So because of that, I would say, I don't care what your professional that you're talking to or that you're interviewing, what they call themselves. It doesn't matter what their business card says or their email signature says. You almost need to just step above all that. Just erase that from your mind and begin to ask some of these questions.
Yeah, what are they doing for you?
And that's what's going to determine what they actually are.
I'm going to tell you this right now. If you ever see the name Mark Owens and Wealth Manager in the same, delete it, close out that tab.
You got hacked?
Burn your computer.
Well, so that phenomenon that's kind of why I bring it up. It's kind of laughable, but that can happen. Like that's how little these quote unquote titles mean.
And that's why I asked the question. And that's why if you have questions, always available to reach out to the team of the Vincent Financial Group. 770-741-0120. We know it's the back end of the weekend. You're thinking about the week ahead. You can call right now. We have a representative standing by to get you on the calendar to sit down with Aaron, to sit down with Matt. You can call Monday or Tuesday morning when you have a little more time. That's acceptable as well. But if you have questions, it's time to reach out because that initial consultation, it's no cost, it's no obligation. 770-741-0120. And again, text the word guide to that exact same number to get your 20-question assessment. Who is your guide? Again, that number, 770-741-0120. Aaron, Matt, thanks for the education and the information this weekend. We are back next weekend, but for the entire team of the Vincent Financial Group, this has been Retire ATL right here on WSB.
Insurance products are offered through the Insurance Business Advanced Planning Group. Vincent Financial Group is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Advanced Planning Group are not subject to investment advisory requirements. Advanced Planning Group and IPW are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be constructed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Vincent Financial Group is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained here and provided by third parties have been obtained by sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Vincent Financial Group. This radio show is a paid placement.